I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to take this time for a moment of silence, please. Roll call, Corinne.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Heising?
Here.
Counselor Schneider?
Here.
Counselor Stigley?
Here.
Counselor Tiarena?
Here.
Council President Steers?
Here.
We have 6 members present. We have a quorum.
Okay. I'm looking at the approval of prior meetings minutes. I have council meeting June 17th. Should that note July, correct?
Yep, July.
All right. Thank you.
Good job, Chris.
Make that change in those minutes. And
Scott,
also-
remember that, okay? Remember that evaluation time. Okay.
Committee of the whole. All right, council has had time to review the minutes as presented. Can we get a motion on that?
I'll make the motion to accept them as printed, Mayor.
Thank you.
Well, not as printed, but as they are, right? Second.
They're printed.
Well,
With
just
the
as
amended
a
date
that's all.
change.
It's only a minor detail.
Motion to approve the prior meeting minutes moved by Counselor Stigley and seconded by Counselor Heising. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
You two can't behave, we're gonna separate.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Mike Reeves wishing to address council. He said he would be 5 minutes or a little more. It's up to you, Mike.
I wasn't hoping I wasn't going first.
No, that's all I have on there right now.
I'm here. First off, thank you, Madam Mayor and esteemed council members and everybody here. Thank you. My name is Mike Reeves. I live at 246 Jefferson Street. And for the past 4 years, I've mowed the grass down at Biddle Field.
It's okay. Take your time.
I didn't think I'd be this upset. But one of our esteemed council members decided to slam my work. The stuff that I do. I take great pride in what I do down there. I can't pick up a weed eater and weed eat. I had open heart surgery. I can't carry one. But I get as close as I can to those fences. And I know they need trimming, but I can't do it. But I'm on that lawnmower 3.5 to 4 hours every day. You can check my time. And I don't stop. I don't go get water. I don't take a 15-minute break. I'm not asking for that. I don't think a council person in this that loves this city so much should put it on a Facebook page where other people can slam me and Neil Groff slammed me. Mike Reeves, you're a part of the problem. I'm not a part of the problem. You know what? They hired me 4 years ago because the high school kids wouldn't show up, or they hide behind the concession stand. It wasn't getting cut. I've been belittled, defamed. and I don't deserve it. And I'm going to tell you the truth. Matt Minetti don't either. He stands out there, 96-degree heat, sun beating down on him, raking those fields, trying to make them look good. I've seen him. And 2 years ago, those diamonds, before they got all tore up by the drainage being put in, were gorgeous. And that was all Matt Minetti. And I'm going to tell you this, he's going to be mad at me because he asked me not to mention his name. But I don't care. It's not fair. And to sit there and slam somebody like that man, if you got a problem with them, go out there and talk to them too and find out what's going on. Don't put it on a Facebook forum so every citizen in the city of Wauseon can slam everybody that works out there. From the high school kids that do weed eat when they can. And we had one of the worst summers we've ever had out there with the heat and not trying to burn out the grass, so you cut it a little higher so that it looks like it was cut, but you're not burning the grass out. And I'm raising my voice because it hurts, man. It hurts bad. And I'm going to tell you to your face, you should be ashamed. And I mean it with everything I got. You should be ashamed that you did that. Because, Mr. Chamberlain, I wouldn't do it to you. And then they slammed our mayor. And that was allowed. If I put something on Facebook and somebody would do, it's probably my wife seeing if I'm alive, and it is. Sorry about that. I should have shut my phone off, and I apologize. If I put something on Facebook and it opens up, I would put on there, please stop this. Stop talking like this. If you're not part of the solution, the problem, or part of the solution, become part of the, or if you're not part of the problem, whatever, you know what I'm saying. If you're part of the problem, then you need to be a part of the solution. And I appreciate the people that went out there and weed whacked. Believe me, I noticed. But I get as close to those trees as I can, and I wish I could pick up a weed whacker. And for Neil Groff to say that he used to pull those weeds by himself, is it defamatory? That's a bold-faced lie. It's an honor and a privilege to cut the grass out there. I love seeing the kids, and I was slammed, and I take great pride in that park. There was other stuff. We have to ride those little lawnmowers over that field that's not been rolled, the empty field where they want to put softball. If you've ever been out there, there's so many deep ruts out there that the lawnmower goes like this that I'm afraid I'm going to break something, that I have to go over it real slow so I don't ruin a lawnmower for the city. I said what I had to say, and if I was out of line, I apologize. I still love you, and your daughter, but I think it was low and terrible, and I don't think the city council should accept what was said about the mayor or other people that are working out there. And if you got a problem, drive out there and see. Come out and watch and see if I get off that lawnmower. And I take the lawnmower up, I call it the Biddle Island where the name is. I drive it up there on two wheels. I don't wreck it. I don't take chips of concrete out. I'm very careful at what I do out there. Thank you for your time.
Mike, I just want to say a couple things. First of all, I appreciate everything you do. I know that you take pride. I live out there, I drive by, I see you out there on that mower all the time. We have 78 acres of of property out there alone that needs to be taken care of. And you are right. It's been the worst year for weeds, and I think that's been brought up numerous times. And I could probably, you could go by my house and you probably would see weeds somewhere. If you really looked, they're gonna be there, because this has not been a good year. Just so happened that the time frame of all of that, the weeds growing, homecoming happening, I can make excuses, I'm not going to. We have a lot of property. We have a lot of beautiful parks. And our homecoming and our Rotary and Dorothy Biddle, everybody took pride in that, and this city does. Every one of us do. Everybody sees it differently. I look at other parks that I think need a little bit more work on, and we're working on that. We're a few for Public Works who still continues to take care of our parks, where a lot of cities and villages don't anymore. And we need to address what we have to do to help you, but you do take pride, there's no doubt. You don't have to tell me that, because I see you out there every day on that mower. And you're right, 92 degrees, 96 degrees, we had 2 weeks of that.
I got a two-tone head, you guys.
But that's just out there. I mean, we had guys on our streets and putting up homecoming that week, and I was out doing the weeds downtown. I mean, I know what you're saying. It's never ending. And for that to what you, I apologize.
No one had a problem with the
Feelings.
mowing at all. It was the trimming, Mike. And so no one, I know you take your job seriously, but and the person who dogged you doesn't even live in town. He shouldn't even dog you.
I know that.
No.
But nobody's saying that you didn't do a good job.
Right.
And Mike, I think you and I had a conversation about that, just you and I, right? And I made it clear that it wasn't the mowing. And I totally understand that you can't get off the mower. I understand that. I think the mowing out there is superb. It's the detailed stuff, the trimming that I think's been neglected. And I think you can agree with that.
It had been,
Yeah.
but council doesn't know that the people that were digging up the baseball diamonds, I'm sure Mr. Torbett does, but they told us to stay off of them and stay away from those.
Yes.
And that's why it got really high out there on those baseball diamonds. When they first put those drains in, I was going over the big humps and shutting my lawnmower off and then starting it again, and so I wouldn't tear up the dirt and throw dirt all over the place. I was mowing that, and then they told us, stay off of it until we give you permission to get on it. So the baseball diamonds were told to be stayed away from. And yeah, they were high. And I kept saying to Minetti, man, those look terrible. I know, Mike. That's how much pride I took in it. I knew we weren't allowed it, but I wanted to cut it anyway.
Right.
I think you mow some of the straightest lines I've ever seen. I drive by your work all the time. So I think keep up the great work.
But again, when you are limited on certain personnel for mowing comes first, because if you spend all your time on weed whacking, then the grass gets out of hand. It's a give and take. It was dry, and they tried to stay ahead of it. We had the same problems if you look down on the boulevards. People who mow and they aren't weed whacking, the weeds are this high, because it was so dry, and then we get 3 inches of rain. Guess what's gonna grow first? It just shows up at certain times, and I'm not disagreeing with council that maybe it looks like Biddle Park was neglected with weeding, but there were other things that maybe our parks and our public works needed to work on. There was projects. I agree.
Yeah, this
I
isn't-
like it clean.
This isn't
I
a
like
public
it
works
put up.
topic though, Mayor.
Yeah,
This
it is. That's public works.
Whoa.
They're all public works out there.
I'm sorry, I'm just.
Well, I'm just saying,
The Biddle
I
Park
know.
is not public works staff.
Yeah, it is.
No,
They're
those are
all-
seasonal, Matt and Hugo.
Matt and Hugo are considered public works.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have a park board anymore. We don't have parks.
So Matt and Hugo are a part of the public works?
Well, they're underneath the city, which is public works.
Okay, I didn't know they were public works.
WRA
staff.
is the programs that they run. But the grounds and public works also works out there for maintenance. So if something breaks or something needs fixed, Keith, is that, I mean, you can fill in here with
So
me.
the
It's public works.
Public Works takes care of the maintenance of all the parks. Now, Biddle, being as large as it is, Matt Minetti also hires additional seasonal help to help him during the summertime to cover just strictly Biddle Park, such as Mike.
Yeah.
And I want to go on the record, Mike, you do an excellent job. If you didn't do an excellent job, we would have had a talk beforehand.
I
So
believe that.
never, unless it comes from me, worry about the quality of work that you do, because you do an awesome job. And I want everyone to know that, all right? There was things that were not done out there, but we have other priorities in the city than weed eating. And I'll tell that to all the council members. We have other priorities than that. If that's the worst thing in the city, then we're a pretty good place to live if the only thing we have to worry about is weed eating.
I was just upset that it was put on Facebook and then 93 comments and my name gets mentioned and I was a part of the problem and I'm going, wow. Then I got hurt.
Unfortunately, all of us here being in the public, we're gonna put ourselves out there for that, but it is a shame that the employees who work for the city have to go through that as well. The one thing I did think of through this as you were talking and you're talking is Public Works used to have summer help and with Public Works away from there, and they no longer have that. And that's something maybe that the park board and Keith and I can discuss for next year, is we do have a lot more going on in our parks. We've added a lot more in our parks, and I will talk more about that later, but I just, you know, we have less help actually with more to do, and that's something that this city needs to revamp and look at again, because I do know Public Works had, what, 3 or 4 seasonal helpers back probably about 5, 6, 7 years ago. They were still hiring just for that, to go around, paint the fire hydrants and weed whack and do some of that stuff in other places. So, and they also helped in Biddle Park. So there's just things that the city actually, we need to do to make it better and help, because we have to understand some of the growth that we've had, which is good growth. It's all good growth. So I appreciate.
I know people don't like to trim. Personally, I love it. I mean, I figured out I trimmed 18,000 hours over my lifetime.
Probably.
And there was nobody's complaining about the mowing, but Keith, it needed trimmed. This park needed trimmed.
I actually was coming home from Toledo this weekend, and I went by purposely 2 ballparks. And it wasn't what you guys were taking pictures of, not you guys, I'm not gonna say you guys, I don't know who took the pictures. But there were some that looked amazing, which were private, and there were a couple that I seen that were worse than ours. I don't know what, I know the fields that I used to know. And one looked great, but there was still some weeds. And it's like, I don't know, and I kind of agree, and I agree with Freddie. I like it to look nice, I do. So, again.
Then I owe Shane Chamberlain an apology too. No, I do, because I just took a bunch of garbage and threw it in your front yard.
Trust me, I'll clean it up, Mike.
Thank you.
One thing, Mayor, I
Thank you,
did
guys.
suggest to
Thank you.
Keith that maybe the city should look into like DNR trimmers that are larger, so we can trim easier.
There's a lot of discussion that
You
we
need
do
a-
for this.
yeah.
Trimmers.
Yeah.
But I think to minimize things and just say weed whipping is neglected out there, Keith, I think is doing a disservice to Biddle Park. There's
Okay.
maintenance out there beyond weed whipping that has been known about for years that doesn't get done, and it's too bad. It's too bad, Keith.
You're absolutely right, Shane.
So when is it gonna get done?
Which one of the 6 council members has called my office and made a complaint about anything there? I know you have, Scott, but nothing about maintenance out there has been brought to my attention.
I brought the fence line sticking out of the ground a long time ago to your attention.
But that's a frost problem.
I know, but it
Yes.
needs to be fixed.
It needs to be
Well,
fixed.
it'll
And
happen
it
in a
also,
There was a command of Chan, I can't.
Chain of command.
And I went to
Chain
you.
of command, yes.
Instead of going, we can't go out to them.
You're right.
So for things to get done at Biddle, it takes one of us to point that out.
No, it doesn't take one of you to point that out. We do stuff out there. We also have 7 other parks, 70 miles of roadway, 70 miles of water
Yeah.
line. I've got 14 guys in Public Works. I've got 2 full-time guys on the rec department to handle the rec things, and we have seasonal employees that help out there.
Have you come to city council and asked for funding to hire
No,
private
I have
contractors?
not. I have not. Because I try and be a good steward with the city's money.
So it is a two-way street, right?
Yes, it is a two-way street.
Okay, so if you need funding for private contractors, you could come to ask for funding from us, right?
I don't know if
agree.
it's private or if we need to hire more personnel, because like I just said,
No, but-
we're using less personnel in our public works system when it's busy, because if I can remember right, back in when we had a parks department, one of the biggest issues we had is we couldn't keep our personnel busy during the winter months. And so that was one of the reasons that we decided to go full public works. We hired seasonal help down at the Public Works Department for just that, spring, summer, and then a lot of them would go into college or whatever, that's when they would go. But every once in a while, I know a couple of personnel that stayed, that we kept them until December. But we have not hired anybody down in the Public Works Department for seasonal, and I'm saying Public Works, John Arb's department. We only are hiring the same amount in Biddle, and we've added more grounds in Biddle, we've added more parks within the city, and we've added more trails. So that's something I agree, we need to look at, whether it be private company, whether it be more personnel being hired. There's a lot of different options. And we have a park board that I think needs to be involved in this discussion as well, so.
When it comes to day-to-day maintenance or upkeep at Biddle Park, I've always, Mayor, worked under the impression that's Matt Minetti, Hugo Brajas, and seasonal help.
I know,
Public works staff don't go out there.
yes, they do.
They do go out
If
to mow and weed
anything,
whip?
they have gone out there, they're the ones that worked on doing the trenching out there. They're
Yeah.
the
Oh,
ones,
yeah.
if something breaks in the bathroom that needs help, if they do anything like that, if something, a sign breaks, or if a poles are all twisted up, if we've had a tree that went down, that's, you
Yeah.
just, you go back and forth.
They maintain the equipment.
The drag.
Right,
But,
that's it.
but Matt and Hugo and the seasonal staff are responsible for mowing, weed whipping, prep.
Concessions.
Prep of fields,
Prep the
concessions,
fields,
right?
Yeah, stuff like
okay.
that. And we've actually, that's a give and take pending on, like, we had the 4th of July. We had that huge, every year, 4th of July. And guess who cleans up afterwards? That's Matt Minetti, one person that's out there cleaning. That's
Why?
another thing we have to
Why?
look at.
Why?
Because he did it. And you didn't know until this year that he was the only one out there. I used to try to get philanthropical groups to come in, and that doesn't work.
If I might
So-
add to that,
Yes,
the day after the
Yes.
4th of July, Matt Minetti and his wife went out there and picked up as much of the garbage
mhm.
as they could pick up, just the two of them, on that 68-acre.
Yeah, I just
Fields
don't know why
out
that
there.
is. I don't know why that is, Mike.
Because he gave us time,
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know, we didn't know either until this year. So that's something, again, Shane, we're gonna work at it. We'll work together, we'll try to unite
I
this
think
together.
Matt and Hugo need to ask for help, Mike. You know, I think they need to ask for help. I think some,
They haven't.
I know.
We've addressed that with them, we addressed it with them last week about looking for, what do you need? If you're getting behind, because that, we sat down with Josh and Matt, myself and the mayor, talked with them about what do you need? How can we work on this? Do we need additional help? There are certain times that it becomes a perfect storm. This was one of those years. We had a lot of things going on. The manpower was stretched thin. We had a couple of people off on sick leave that weren't available to work.
Yeah.
And it just worked out that some of the areas got neglected.
yeah.
It happens, unfortunately it does.
I
We're
just think
we're gonna work on getting things taken care of and kept up as much as possible. But all I ask is if you see something, if someone calls you, please let me know.
I think Matt and Hugo maybe have to consider hiring more seasonal help.
Well, that's something I think we
Yeah,
need to
that's
deal
what,
with. I
that's
think
what we
we're
discussed.
discussing.
And sometimes, Shane, this year, I've got to say, we probably had one of the best groups, wouldn't you agree with me, Mike?
Absolutely.
In the last 4 years of seasonal help that were willing to work. A lot of times it was, okay, where did he go? And, okay, that doesn't do me any good. If I've got seasonal help that aren't putting in, I can have 100 people out there, and if they're not working, it doesn't do me any good. So I would love to find those people that like to do that. Now, Scott, if you have nothing to do next year,
Right.
we
There you
I'll
go.
do it, I'll volunteer.
Tell the township
we
they're out.
could put you on the payroll if you were willing to do
I got a
it.
high-powered trimmer, so I,
Yeah.
There you go.
But, and that's really the issue, just trying to, we're having a hard time filling spots throughout the city and finding seasonal people that are willing to do it, that we don't have to take a full-time person and set with them to make sure that the work gets done. That kind of defeats the purpose.
the only problem, I'm no better shape than Mike, so.
We ever try to contact the school with the FFA director and see if there's some kids that, boys.
They don't
and
even
girls
have enough to do their
that
stuff
would
at
want
their
a
school.
seasonal job?
Well, I know we've reached out to several of the
Maybe we ought
kids
to-
in the high school.
Well, we're also thinking about maybe
That
getting some
we know they're-
interns.
Yeah.
See how many we need and see if we can get some seasonal help from the FFA boys and girls.
I think this
Boy
is a
Scouts
good
might be more
discussion that
effective,
needs to
to be
come, we're gonna be meeting at Park Board and we can discuss a lot of different options and bring it back to the
So
table.
that's a good, I think we ought to proceed with that idea.
Yeah. Okay, Mike, thank you again.
Hey,
We're gonna
thanks,
move
Mike.
on. Oath of office?
No, sorry.
No.
Oh,
Somebody used a template. Okay. It is the first Monday, so department head reports, Chief?
Yep. Our engine that came back from Wisconsin after refurbishment has gone to Cleveland this morning. They're gonna finish installing some shelving and mounting of the equipment, and we hope to have that truck back by the end of the week. And we'll do some training on it as a department, and then it'll go in service, so.
Is that gonna be housed here or out
Mhm.
there? Okay.
Here, yep, that truck was originally bought in 1999 for just under 300,000, and we refurbed it for about 4,500 altogether. To buy it new, it would be 1.2 million. So the trustees, Clinton Township is
what is that truck, Chief?
it's a engine, it's a pumper, it's a Pierce dash, yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Yep, all updated, all new electrical, new seating, everything looks brand new, so.
So have to come and see it when it gets back to
Yep.
Wauseon.
We're getting ready, working with Soma for our dispatching software. We're getting closer. I anticipate next month and a half or so, we'll be going live with the sheriff's office and the PD. And we started ramping up, working with the schools for school inspections, because summer's about over.
What is the first day of school? I'm always out of it on that.
21st.
21st?
First game's the 18th.
First game's the 18th, I know. It's coming up. Thank you. Okay, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Chief?
Oh, that kind of leads to my first topic, was school starting on the 21st. So just remind everybody to be a little more, take a little more time in the mornings. The school buses and the traffic just increases exponentially, especially down Shoup Avenue in that area. Watch, stop for the school buses. In that, I am looking for a crossing guard. I only have one right now, Mr. Reeves. Unfortunately, my only crossing guard, I could definitely use one more dedicated one, and then even one, so.
Scott? Give me a wheelchair.
And then I can also use a sub for that too. And then this past weekend, we had a 5K run in town, and I just want to give a shout out to the Fulton County Amateur Radio Club.
Yes.
Jan, my auxiliary sergeant who's in charge of auxiliary, reached out to them to help us with doing some traffic control at intersections, since our manpower is really down on the part-time and auxiliary parts of our office. She reached out to them, and I think they sent like 5 or 6 people out to help us out, and they were really excited to do it, and it worked really well. Hopefully that's something we can build in the future, a nicer relationship with them, and kind of keep using them and utilize them as we need to. And we got to figure out some way to show our appreciation back, but we did share their post of them out working with us, and just want to definitely give a shout out to them and bring that to council's attention, that they were willing to volunteer their time to help us out with that.
I seen those pictures, that was neat. That was really good. Okay, any questions?
What was your time, Keith? What was your time?
My time?
Yeah.
I still haven't crossed the finish line. To update you from Thursday, today we met with the engineers that are working on the Chestnut Street rebuild. They've got their preliminary drawings done. They're going to be working on submitting the drawings to the OPWC for possible grant funding for a portion of that. And I've asked them to get us an engineer's estimate so we can start looking if this is something that is even going to be feasible for the 2024. I mean, if it comes in at $4 or $5 million, then obviously we're not going to be able to cover it unless we can come up with a significant amount of grant funds to do that. We may have to do it in smaller chunks than what I would prefer. Tomorrow we'll be meeting with Geddes Paving on a pre-construction meeting. They're the ones that were awarded the paving contract for the city. They're going to start in the Oak Street area, trying to get that finished before school starts. They're going to start next week on the 14th and hopefully have that done before school starts. Oak Street between Shoup Avenue and Glenwood.
To the tennis courts, you said.
Yeah, and around a little bit on Glenwood Street to where it was originally paved before. And then there's a couple of other streets like East Chestnut, Depot Street, West Drive. I think that will round out our budget for the year on as far as the resurfacing. Also, I talked to you about the monument that has been completed. We did get in today thanks to Mr. Reeves. It got sent to him, James Reeves out there. To restore the monument, to fill in all the cracks, will cost approximately $8,700. So I will be bringing that to finance for either approval on that or look at next year's budget to get that taken care of.
That's to restore and seal?
That's to seal all the, they did a lot of the nip and tuck stuff that they could do there, but this would be to seal coat it, fill in the cracks, and take care of all the cracking cement around the top. If you take a look at it, now that it's clean, you can actually see a lot more of the issues that it has.
Did they get the fire memorial also?
Yep.
I didn't know. Okay.
Yep.
Did that clean up?
For the most part.
I kept going by thinking it was clean, it was just wet. Right. Like, oh, they got it done. No,
They
just
did
regular
enough
wet.
to not mess with it with any toxic chemicals, so
Right.
we're good.
Anything else, Keith?
I think that's it, unless anybody.
I have one thing I wanted to say to you, is the fact that I've noticed, because of the heat and the dryness, we've been getting a lot of potholes just developing this summer. About last month is when I really noticed them, and I did tell him, you know, we are very fortunate that we have a Durapatch cold mix that we can use, and a lot of it was down where the buses are going into the schools, down where, past where they're going to be stopping. So, and they got it done, and it's a lot better. So if you guys see some of those that have developed this year, you know, wherever you're at, not that they need more to do, but that's something we have to get taken care of, just because.
Rather get them when they're small than
Yeah,
have them.
and it's
become-
warm. You want it to be warm so that they kind of seal. So you can't do it in the winter. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
So they're gonna grind and re-asphalt these
Yes.
streets?
They're gonna mill it down about 1.5 inches and then refill.
finish code on it.
Yeah. All right, and Jamie is not here, so Tom?
Mayor, real quick.
Oh,
I
sorry.
just want to make sure the concern about South Maplewood got your inbox.
Yep,
Okay, good deal.
they're gonna go down, and I asked Josh to go down and camera that to make, we had a lot of water all at the same time. I just wanna make sure there's nothing down there that's causing the backup. Yeah,
Thank
they're
you.
taking a look at it.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, Tom?
I don't really have anything to report, but I would call council's attention to Resolution 2023-10 and 11, which are up for first read on emergency this evening. I just want to point out that these are from scratch, new resolutions. The prior resolutions, which I believe were 8 and 9, the last vote was 2-2 with the mayor breaking the tie at 3-2, and given that it wasn't a majority, which is 5 or 4 members of council, those resolutions actually did not pass. So those not having passed, they died essentially, and so you have before you 2 new resolutions that are identical but with different numbers.
What was the first vote? Because that was the second. What
First
was the
vote was
first?
For,
So
was it 4-1?
3-2.
Yeah, it was
3-2. 3-2, so there were 5 there.
So actually, it would not have passed on first read either. I don't think I
It's my
was.
pouty face, I'm having a hard time with this one.
So just to clarify, the charter provides that a ordinance, resolution, or motion do not pass unless approved by a majority of members of council, not members present. And I think there was confusion as to that issue. It was a majority of members present, but not a majority of members.
This is something I think that our council maybe possibly in the future can look at. Maybe because there's a lot of times we don't have full council present to be able to pass or not pass legislation, but it's very hard when we don't have everybody present.
Yeah, I had to sit out there for that one when I was here. Mr. Pink Eye.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Corinne said, stay away.
Much
better.
Oh, that's good.
So, let's, committee reports. Anything else you have?
No.
Okay, committee reports, safety and code.
So we had a great meeting. It was a really, I think that was actually the first time Danny and I got to connect, which was cool. So we talked about water retention systems. And so we're making a recommendation to kind of make it to where you can't be digging holes and putting water retentions. You can do above ground, which is nice, and so you can do it where it's got gravity drain, or you can do a pump. But as far as doing like a whole cistern system in the city, that is no longer allowed. It wasn't really allowed before, but now it's really not allowed. And so, yeah, so that we were all in favor of that, and so that passed unanimously. There you go. That passed. I should have just stopped there.
Yeah.
And then we also talked about legalizing golf carts driving on city streets, and so we are going to bring that back to make a recommendation to allow that to pass the first round, and so that way we can come back and kind of figure out where we want to allow golf carts to be driven on the streets. And that was also passed unanimously. And so now we're bringing that to council, so that'll be on here. And that was pretty much the gist of the meeting.
Okay, I'm gonna ask council if we want to accept the safety and code in separate.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely separate.
Yes, all right. So, I'm not having that agenda in front of me.
So it looks like golf carts are first.
Yep, golf carts are first.
Well, yeah. So we're going to move forward on the safety and code recommendations. We have 2 on the floor. The first one that we're going to be looking at is a recommendation from safety and code that the use of golf carts be legalized in the city of Wauseon, subject to certain restrictions.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Recommendation that the use of golf carts be legalized in the city of Wauseon, subject to certain restrictions, moved by Councilor Tiarena and seconded by Councilor Schneider. Any discussion?
I do. Just Chief, Assistant Chief Hartsock comes from the village of Delta. Did they have golf carts in Delta?
Yes, I actually had Assistant Chief Horsack come to the safety and
Oh, you
code
did?
meeting.
Okay.
He kind of gave his input. He's also against legalizing in the city of Wauseon, as was I. He stated he got outvoted in Delta. He originally said they had planned on about maybe 20 golf carts getting legalized, and they actually had over 60 in the city or in the village come up, get an inspection, and get their stickers. He did not mention any crashes or incidents, but he also stated he wasn't really for it either.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
I will say one thing on the golf carts, on a criticism. So I was going to Swanton, and Delta had free pickup, and there was a golf cart on State Highway, which is airport. So that's 20A and Route 2. And it was moving about 5-6 mile an hour. And traffic had to pass them, past the fire station, going east. And a semi-truck went around the golf cart, which was looking at the free pickup things, thinking they may want something. And another pickup was going westbound, which had to jump the curb, up over the grass and into the sidewalk. And if the semi would have cut in, he would have definitely took care of the golf cart. So it's not a very good idea to have golf carts on state highways when you're dealing with steel trucks, semis, others, and normal traffic.
I think this council, with discussion that I've listened to and read, I think that was one of the biggest priorities of the safety and code and council, was to make sure that if golf carts are allowed, that they would not be allowed on anything over 25 miles an hour unless it had to cross over to get into the next street. There's a lot of restrictions that I'm seeing, what you guys are going to be bringing back. So I think that once those restrictions are brought forward, then council will have the opportunity to vote again on whether they like those restrictions or they don't like those restrictions. So still a lot of input. So,
Chief Kessler, still firm in your position of not objecting to the idea?
I am not objecting to the idea.
You guys make it difficult on me, too,
yes,
you know?
yes. But I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
I do. Okay.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
Yes.
Counselor Chamberlain?
No.
Counselor Heising?
No.
Counselor Stickley?
No.
Council President Steers?
Yes. Sorry about that.
Chicken! Chicken. Actually, I'm going to stay by the words and mark this day. I think this is the first time I've ever gone against my police chief. But I want to see what comes back with restrictions. The only problem I have with any of this of saying yeah or no is the fact that we have motorized bicycles out there going faster than golf carts, and it's not even being addressed.
And they're going on the road, on the sidewalk, back.
Yeah, they're going everywhere.
Right,
Yeah.
so there are a lot of what ifs, and this has been a hard one. This really been a hard one for me because I'm all about safety, and I know there are people out there now riding on them without any rules, and we need to make those rules. So, sorry, Kevin, I'm gonna say yes, and doesn't mean that I want to see some heavy-duty restrictions come back from safety and code with this moving forward.
Motion carries.
Is there any opportunity still to address the council about their concerns over this?
I mean, I think we could.
Council can open
Yeah.
up the floor if they wish. Real quick, if you want to say something, council, are you opposed to him saying anything, or would you rather
I'd
have
be
come to a
happy to
safety
hear
and code?
public input.
Yeah.
So you haven't heard any public input?
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
no, they came to
Yes.
the meetings.
They came to safety and code.
They were at safety and code. They
Yeah.
haven't talked to the council members.
No.
I just want to remind all our representatives that your job is to represent the will of the people and not make decisions for them, even though you're in a position of authority. that you are elected officials and what you are supposed to do is to execute on the wishes of the public, not force your rule upon them.
I'm gonna say, I have asked, we've had a lot of conversations about golf carts, and the reason that I voted no is because everyone that I have approached in the public has had many different concerns, and they were all negative. So I have not been to I'm not on the committee to hear those that have come, and, you know, I believe that the ones that would come are the ones that are proponents of the golf carts. But I have people who've stated their eyesight isn't great. They don't want to have more obstacles on the roads. We have a lot of aging citizens. I have young drivers in town and distracted drivers. And we have, the way that our city has been laid out is not Delta. There are a lot of main roads coming in and out in various directions, and none of them would be great roads for golf carts to be on. I personally don't have any problem with golfers going to, I mean, that's kind of the point, you know, golfers. However, I felt like some of the proponents were more or less joyriding, or, you know, we're gonna have them going to the VFW, we're gonna have people wanting to go to Walmart, and I don't really know that they're going to say, oh, what were those streets again that we are or aren't allowed on? And you know, there are young kids who end up liking to drive these golf carts because it's fun. So I looked at it from a danger perspective also, that I don't really want you know, residents to have to live with the fact that they ran into one of these, because I don't think it's going to be pretty.
Sure.
So those are all, you didn't hear those discussions today from me.
Right.
But I've had them ad nauseum up to this point. So I just didn't want you to think that I took that vote lightly, because I don't.
I think what the mayor's position on this, as far as finding out what we would consider safe for our community, is good.
Restrictions.
But to be clear, whatever law is made, Chief, don't people break the rules?
Yeah.
Right? So the job of the council is to make the laws, not ensure that guarantees everybody's gonna always be safe. I mean, somebody could walk across the street and jaywalk to get this meeting. I didn't cross across the crosswalk, right, and get hit by a car, and that wouldn't be your fault. It's not the city's job from the elected officials to ensure that everybody remains safe for the rest of their life. And I am certain that a police chief isn't all that interested in enforcing even more laws that are gonna be hard to enforce, right? But that's the job he's signing up for. I am sure Phil Kessler is not excited to show up at the scene of an accident where somebody got hit in a golf cart. It's not gonna be good, whether it's a semi-truck or not. I haven't heard anything negative. If people are concerned about their eyesight, perhaps they shouldn't be driving. The people that are wanting to drive their golf carts are asking to be able to do so legally, not break the rule and turn a blind eye. So the job of a council member, again, is not to make laws that guarantee everybody's safety, because no law is going to do that. I'm sure nobody in here has ever gone over the speed limit before, right? The job of the council is to represent the will of the people. It's not unsafe to operate a golf cart. Delta has it approved, Archibald has it approved, they all have statewide highways to go through, Napoleon has it approved, every one around us has it approved. If somebody wants to use their golf cart, yep, and if somebody wants to use their golf cart to joyride, let them use it. If a 14-year-old's driving it, pull them over and give them a ticket, right? It's not a matter of your job being to keep everyone safe 100% of the time. You can't do that.
I understand what you're saying, but there's also a completely, you know, separate population, the ones that have to drive around them and live with them in the city. So, you know, they are also voters. And
what is the difference between a golf cart and a kid on a moped? The kid on a moped is more susceptible to accident or injury if struck by anything versus someone on a moped, on a golf cart.
I would say a bicycle too.
a bicycle.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just thinking motorized vehicles, they're in the flow of
I
traffic.
understand, and in my
But-
mind, the way that a moped, you know, most mopeds, I'm saying this is a most, are for kids who, you know, they don't have their license yet, they're going to practice, to work, whatever. It's more of like a gateway to when they are able to actually drive a vehicle.
But you
So,
still have underage kids operating those, correct? And you're
Correct.
talking about those versus licensed drivers operating a golf cart. Predominantly, these golf carts are gonna be mostly like within the communities. You know, I don't see, it's like everybody, you go to these other towns, you don't see golf carts out everywhere all the time. Predominantly, the people in the golf course are gonna stay to the golf course. The people, I live over by the high school, we're gonna stay in our neighborhood. I mean, we're
It was
going
presented
from
at-
A to B to, we have 7 or 8 friends in the neighborhood. We just wanna be able, that's a whole lot safer than getting in your car to go there.
it was presented at one point to us, I mean, granted, I'm not on safety and code, so I've not heard all of those conversations. However, the conversations that have been brought forward were, you know, there was you know, someone who wanted to go to Walmart, and
I
you know, those
completely
are
understand
those
that.
are
You should allow Shube, Airfoot, Airport. I think you should look at Linfoot. I definitely think there
I
should be
think
some
all of
terms.
those, all of
Yeah.
those suggestions are definitely good suggestions, and I also think that this is stuff that, when we have our safety and code, you guys need to be here to voice what you're saying, just as some that are against it.
Sure.
But that's what helps make the rules, that's what gonna help us make these policies. And, you know, if we do, for some reason, Wauseon just can't do it right, and we, you know, hopefully not have accidents or whatever, I mean, then this is when the council gets to come back and readdress. But for now, I appreciate what you said, and you are right. I mean, the people, and everybody has the right to their opinion, and thank goodness there's 6 of us up here. But safety and code, make a date, make sure these guys are all on it. As of today, it passed under what you guys bring back, and we'll revisit, and we're probably gonna revisit it again. This is something new, but thank you. I think this is great discussion. Thank you both. I appreciate it.
I just want to say, the proponents, when they came in, they were acceptable
To all of our
to
regulations.
not going Shoup Avenue, not
Yeah.
going to Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They knew that. They were also acceptable, or seemed to be, that if we find too many screw-ups, we're going to take the privilege away.
I think it's a matter of managing expectations.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
on everybody,
Yeah.
and accountability for everyone.
Yeah,
If you have, that's how we had, and I'm coming from Nashville, a small area outside of the report, it's a 3 strikes and you're out thing, or hey, we'll try this will be a trial period. If there's any issues within this period, great. If not, you know,
Yeah.
hey, we tried.
Yeah.
You know, I
At least give them
think
that.
you would find it'd be a minimal concern to most people, that it's not gonna be a parade of golf carts out, you know, trying to go
Right.
down and shoot them all the time.
Yeah, that's the parade permit format. Okay.
Just for the
Go
sake
ahead.
of the record, Corinne, do you have the names of the folks who just spoke?
I am going to need yours.
Eric Parker.
You can find it in the police record.
Under golf carts? Meeting with the golf carts?
All right.
And I can't afford a golf cart.
And then,
I know.
Well, I knew you were gonna be a yes vote, especially if you won the homecoming.
I know, but I didn't.
no, you didn't
Yeah.
win. All righty. So we got that. Now we need to move on the second recommendation from the committee, Safety and Code, and that was a recommendation that the administration proposed an amendment to the codified ordinance which would prohibit citizens from installing water retention systems other than those above ground. Because obviously saving water is something that people want to do.
I'll make that.
I'll second
Has anyone had any feedback of anyone that doesn't think it's a good idea to make them? No? Okay. I mean, I asked Thursday morning for details about what the dangers are, and I mean, I don't want any toddlers falling in one.
I think it
You know
was
what I'm
one
saying,
thing
but I just wanna make
underneath,
sure that.
not knowing what they're digging, what they're putting underground, and if it is safe, because when you do them, you don't want it to be a big, huge sinkhole down the road. And the fact that if you're allowed to do it above ground, that's where it should be. So it's notable to anybody who would purchase a house. You don't want to know you have 10 little cisterns with pumps underneath.
I was
the
just
ground.
looking for if there were any adverse, opinions that came up that would
Well,
you
I
need to
think,
feel
I think
like,
that,
you
you
know.
know, you probably could find somebody who loves to retain water, but it's just not safe for the citizens. That makes sense?
I was just thinking people retaining water.
Oh, yeah.
I'll make them water retention.
Oh, my goodness.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Steers?
Yes.
6 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Okay, great, thank you, Council. First reading of legislation is Resolution 2023-10. Again, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to the collective bargaining agreement with the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association Patrol Officers Union and declaring an emergency.
I make a motion to place 2023-10 on first read and emergency.
I'll second that. Oh, did you want to?
No, go ahead.
Motion to place resolution 2023-10 on emergency reading, moved by Counselor Chamberlain and seconded by Counselor Tiarena. Any discussion?
I only have one, that I believe that we, as council and the mayor, should be interested in all of our employees, not just 19. That's
I
all.
am interested in all of the employees of the city Herald.
Then we should all give them all a raise.
I disagree. I think this is one of a comparable wage. And if you look at the wages of the other people in the city, employees, their comparable rates are pretty much on task. This one was the one that's been discussed with you.
I know.
It isn't.
Just made a statement, that's all.
I'm just saying I do take all of the employees into consideration of their health and welfare.
I'd like to say too that I'm not opposed to the policeman getting a raise, but what I'm opposed to is in the middle of the contract. You have a contract, you live by. If we were this far behind, they were settled not too far in the past, it should have been done then. It should have been proposed then. Otherwise, who's to say this group's gonna come in and say, hey, we're falling behind, we need to open the contract and redo it again. I mean, what value is a contract?
It is definitely unusual, and that this is a mid-contract thing. I'll just say that as part of the bad part about having a contract is all the other agencies have really been moving this year, which is the middle year of the contract with the city. If I just have the feeling if we don't address it now, in a year from now, this percentage is going to be, it's going to be a sticker shock. It's probably going to be a 15%, and that point it will be going to, you know, if it has to go to a fact finder, or they always bring comparables in. That's the first thing that we always talk about when we talk about wages at a contract negotiation is comparables to different, especially in Fulton County, and being that we're the largest city, but we would be the 4th highest paid police officers at their top out wage. It's going to be a big raise coming on their requests, more than likely. So this is just trying to get ahead of it a little bit instead of putting us way behind in a year and a half.
And I think that's,
Good. I'm just saying, I'm referencing Steve's question about opening contracts, which is not usually done. I do remember, Keith, if you can help me with this, back in the early 2000s, when I first came on board, there was an opening of a contract for insurance, and we had to come back and open it up because of the change of the insurance mid-contract. And that was something that we had to change with the police officers, so we did have to open it up. And that was back when it was starting to go into a recession, so.
well, I was just gonna say, I think that's good foresight on your part, Chief, where it's like the sticker shock would be huge. And so kind of like taking baby steps towards that, I like a lot more. And building towards, you know, we know that the people that are sticking around are gonna get more, and keeping them here for retention purpose and things like that, but, yeah.
Thank you. Most of the recent people that raised theirs just after our contract was,
Yes.
right? A lot of them, a lot of the cities just raised them.
Right,
Keep them.
and with the villages, like Delta, Swan, Archibald, they just have to go to council. They don't have necessarily a contract,
Not a union.
like yearly set time. They can just go in and do it, and that's kind of what has put us. I said that's a little different. I've never experienced anything like that in my 19 years here, and I was the union director for several years during my time as patrolman, and I would have never fathomed experiencing something like this, but this is definitely a new time.
Did you not talk to the union lawyer, that their representative, and she said that this is happening all over?
Yeah,
where they're
so
opening
I
up
did talk to
contracts?
her. She gave me 3 of them that she worked on. The city of Waterville actually terminated their contract 6 months early so that they could address the wages that they just put in effect here on July 1st. Van Wert negotiated early, and they just got their finalized copies through. And then Putnam County has also recently just did a mid-contract wage adjustment. And those are just the ones that she does for the union side.
Wow. Okay, let's move for vote.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
No.
Council President Steers?
Yes.
5 yeas, 1 nay, motion carries.
That would be an emergency then.
Final read?
Thank you.
Second.
Motion to place resolution 2023-10 on final reading, and the final reading be passed, moved by Counselor Chamberlain and seconded by Counselor Heising. Any discussion? Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
Oh.
Council President Steers?
Yes.
5 yeas, 1 nay, motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Council. Moving on, we have Resolution 2023-11, was a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment, I cannot read that correctly, to the collective bargaining agreement with the Ohio Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, full-time dispatchers and records technicians, and declaring an emergency.
I will move.
Second?
Second, I'm sorry.
Motion to place resolution 2023-11 on emergency reading, moved by Counselor Heising and seconded by Counselor Chamberlain. Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
No.
Council President Steers?
Yes.
5 yeas, 1 nay, motion carries.
Anybody want to make a final on that?
Final.
Nudge him, would you, Mayor?
Yeah. You can't do that.
Scott?
Yeah.
Second? Is that what we're waiting for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Motion to place resolution 2023-11 on final reading, and the final reading be passed, moved by Council President Steers and seconded by Counselor Heising. Any discussion? Council President Steers?
Yes.
Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
No.
5 yeas, 0 nay, 5 yeas, 1 nay, motion carries.
Okay, we're going to go really fast because he has got to get out of here. Second reading of legislation emergency is a resolution 2023-9. It's a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the quote for the Zoll Medical Corporation dated July 12, 2023 for the purchase of supplies for the fire department and declaring this an emergency.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that. Oh. Okay. This was the.
Zoll.
Okay.
Everybody wants the automated
Yeah.
CPR machines,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We can all agree about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
Yes.
Council President Steers?
Yes.
Yes, you want the life-saving
You want the
insurance.
I thought he was out of breath there. Final.
I did.
I think Brandon.
Yeah.
Council President Steers?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Or Schneider.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Counselor Schneider?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes, please.
Motion carries 68-0.
Thank you.
I've been excused.
Yes.
And Mike, you can relate to this, being on that mower bounce around, you have to go to the bathroom a lot more, don't you?
Can you stay?
See you guys.
Excuse committee, thank
See
you.
Thank you.
Okay, third reading of legislation. This is a big one, guys.
It is.
Nothing, but
Oh.
under new business.
The new business one is.
It is.
Yeah.
Trick or treat.
We're gonna have some discussion about this, Mayor.
We need a motion to schedule trick or treat for Tuesday, October 31st, 2022, from 6 to 7:30 p.m.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
I'll second that.
Motion to schedule trick or treat for Tuesday, October 31st, 2023, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Look
Did
at
I
my
say
crowd.
22? I read it.
That's the third one.
Oh, man.
Holy
that is
cow.
No
Yeah.
Wow.
Moved
What
by
are we
Counselor
approving?
Stickley
Jeez.
and seconded by Counselor Tiarena. Any discussion?
I will renew the opinion of teachers that would like to have that on a weekend, okay? I live with a teacher, she says that's awful to us, so I just wanted to renew
Oh, I
it.
hear you
In a
every
second
year.
year.
We need to start putting that in legislation.
That's funny. I love it being on the 31st. That's fun for me.
My vote is for.
Yeah, your kids are young.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You don't have them the next morning. They're all wound up.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
Yes.
5
Reluctant,
yeas,
yes.
0 nays, motion
Sure, when I get
carries.
home.
Okay, next thing under new business is we need a motion to accept the lowest and the best salt bid.
I will go for that.
Winter is coming.
I heard we're not gonna need it, Mayor. That's what I heard. Not gonna need it.
Farmers say we do.
Oh, okay.
Any
Second.
Motion to accept the lowest and best salt bid, moved by Counselor Heising and seconded by Counselor Stickley. Any discussion? Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Schneider?
Yes.
5 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Thank you.
Anything under old business?
The homecoming was awesome.
Yes.
And that was great.
Yes, considering the weather, it was very nice.
Yeah.
It was very hot in that sixth wheel.
I kept the mic on.
He had the mic on there.
We were very impressed with the last band's drummer.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I heard you,
Yeah.
they did a pretty good job out there.
Were you
Under
involved in
the-
that, Brandon?
under the-
Little bit.
Little bit, yeah.
Showed off some
He
skills.
had some skins going there.
Did you guys win the Battle of the Bands?
It was that for One Voice, the
One
worship
Voice.
Oh, okay.
team. Yeah.
On Saturday.
On Saturday night, yeah.
Steve?
I don't know if it'd be old or new, but is there gonna be a bike thing through town again this year? Are you aware of that? I'm aware of it because.
Bikes or bikes?
Bicycles,
Okay.
because they usually stop at Homecoming Pavilion, then they
Yes.
come through and
I haven't heard.
they don't stop for anything.
No,
I
I've not.
saw one last week with a police detail.
They would have had the parade permit.
Yeah, but I've not seen
That
one come
motorcycle
through for the, yeah, I know what you're talking about,
That's
the
not
bike,
recycling.
You're talking about
it's kinda like a
bicycles.
race across
Yeah.
the.
Okay, that was a
What,
motor.
they go-
Exactly, I was gonna say the same
They
thing.
go
and then
all
you
over,
learn
but I've not had
about
a,
When they came by my place, I called the police department and Phil Kinnear went up to South Park because they just ran every stop sign and he told them, hey, we're not against the biking, but
Right.
somebody's gonna get hurt.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
they were just running everything like, we don't have to stop, we're on this bike thing. And,
As long as there's a police officer in front, they have a parade permit to come through with an
Yeah, I understand.
Right,
There's
but we have
nobody
not,
there.
I've not seen a permit for
No,
that.
I just didn't
this
know.
year.
Nope.
I remember seeing one before, but not.
We've had a
this
lot
year.
come through. I haven't seen it.
I just wondered.
Okay, thank you. Good to know. Okay, I need to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Harold. Harold. Harold's gonna pay him this time around.
Motion to approve and pay the bills as presented, moved by Counselor Schneider and seconded by Counselor Stickley. Counselor Schneider?
Yes.
Counselor Stickley?
Yes.
Counselor Tiarena?
Yes.
Counselor Heising?
Yes.
Counselor Chamberlain?
Yes.
5 yeas, 0 nays, motion carries.
Okay. Hopefully Mike has enough battery left. We need a motion for adjournment. We're out of here.
So moved.
Second. Oh, Sarah, I'm sorry. Give it to Sarah.
Motion to adjourn by Councilor
Oh, I thought you meant-
Chamberlain, seconded by Councilor Heising. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Corinne.
Thank you, council.